Hello, guys, and Happy New Year! Hope you're doing well. I'm Ollie. If you enjoy a good Reddit story, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I won't stop you. Right then, let's crack on with our first story of the day. The first story comes from HamsterTop 1332 in the TrueOffMyChest subreddit, and it says, "My roommate had been gambling the rent money away. She didn't tell me we got evicted. We have 5 days to leave." I'm still shaking. My roommate is in her mid-70s. Her name is the only name on the lease. I found the room on Craigslist. It was the only place I could afford. Also, I am from a different country. I have debt I'm paying off from my move here. She's always left me alone. I pay her the money for rent and utilities because everything is under her name. Everything was fine for almost a year. Last month, though, she gambled away the rent money. But I thought it wasn't a problem because she said she got a loan from her son. So imagine my surprise today when I received a notice to vacate from the sheriff's department. In 5 days. I asked, "What's going on?" She gambled away the loan she had gotten from her son. Also, last month wasn't the first time she gambled away the rent money. She had done the same the previous month as well. And the money I gave her for this month's rent, she gambled that as well. We had been given a 30-day eviction notice, which she didn't tell me about. There was a hearing, which she didn't tell me about. No one showed up, so the judgment defaulted to the landlord. Now we have 5 days to vacate. She'll be fine. She's moving in with a friend. Meanwhile, I know no one. I mean, it's funny because I was already planning on moving out at the end of the month after 2 more paychecks. I found a room that just requires me to have $1,000 to move in, but I have only $280. I can't come up with $720 in 5 days. I'm not saying this to ask for money. I'm just mentioning this because the irony is so cruel. I don't know where I'll sleep. I don't have a car. Also, I did contact the police to tell them that my roommate had been stealing from me, but they called it a civil matter to be brought up in small claims court. How can I focus on going to court when I don't know where I'll be in under a week? This is my worst nightmare come true.
Knock knock, never mind, says, "What city are you in? Maybe you can post on the subreddit for your city and see if anyone can help." Actuary Gold 967 says, "This is going to sound maybe unrealistic. I don't know. And let me say upfront that I despise these companies, but if you have a vehicle or access to one for that many days and can do Uber Eats deliveries or can use an acquaintance's account to do so, you can very likely make all of that money in 5 days. If this is something you might be able to do, browse the Uber Eats driver subreddit for advice, especially in your area. I do both Uber Eats and DoorDash on occasion, but overall, I have found Uber Eats to pay slightly better in my area. Pro tip, declining offers and lowering your acceptance rating makes no meaningful difference. Accept orders that pay 1.5 times the miles for the delivery, and turn off courier deliveries and shopping orders unless you live somewhere that has more grocery stores than restaurants. Shopping orders can tip well, but they take forever and are frustrating. I think they are a net negative. I found that the early evening before dinner, all the way to the early AM, is the best time, especially Thursday through Saturday. But the app has a graph in it to clue you into activity estimates across the hours of the day. Final thought. DoorDash approved me the fastest, in only hours I'd say, and they pay every time you log out of a dash. Summary. Maybe drive around and deliver food for extra money. During Uber Eats quests, I've made a couple of $100s in a handful of hours, and my market seems to be below average in pay. Good luck to you. A Reddit user says, "I would get in touch with your landlord, or technically, the 70-year-old's landlord. Explain you are moving out in 2 months anyway, and unlike the 3 gambling addicts, you've paid your rent every month on time. If you're lucky, they might cut you a break. It seems like they haven't been paid in a while, and a good faith promise of money might be well received." The Gravy Master says, "That doesn't happen in a month. She's been playing you for a long time. It takes months to be evicted, and that's if the landlord is lucky. Some evictions drag on for a year." A few weeks later, the OP returns with an update regarding her dire situation, and it says, "So I had posted previously that my roommate had been gambling the rent money away for a few months at the very least, and got us evicted without telling me. I only found out when I discovered a 5-day notice to vacate from the sheriff's department on the apartment door. Well, I was homeless for the first time in my life. I slept in an unlocked classroom at a nearby university. I kept my possessions in a storage unit. It definitely wasn't pleasant. But I have to recognize people have had it worse, and then a miracle happened yesterday. I work at a nursing home, and I've become pretty friendly with the daughter of one of the residents.
I told her what happened to me, and guess what she told me? Well, she has a room for rent, and it's empty anyways. Why don't I move in, and I'll pay her the rent when I get it after the first week of January? I am shocked. I genuinely thought I was going to be homeless for a lot longer. She is so sweet and super kind. She even made me dinner. I am so thankful for her. I am still stunned. Also, she helped me move my things in, which isn't much, just my clothes and laptop basically. That's my update. I have never felt so elated. This was a nightmare. At least I have a learning experience and know what to look out for. And I am definitely going to focus all my free time on suing my former roommate.
Terry Corsi says, "From homeless to housed, that's a huge win. I'm glad you're safe." OP responds, "Thank you. This has been a very stressful time in my life, and I'm so unbelievably grateful I've come out of that."
Our next story comes from MediumNet2579 in the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit, and it says, "Am I the a-hole for banning my sister's boyfriend from my house and closing the door in his face? I, 30 male, love my baby sister, 26 female, but absolutely loathe her boyfriend. My sister is not the brightest bulb and is a self-admitted gold digger. While other little girls dreamed about falling in love with their Prince Charming, my sister only dreamed of the castles and dresses. I know this sounds pretty cruel, but she's always been open about it. She's pretty enough, takes care of her health, and puts time and effort into being the arm candy she thinks guys like. She can be sweet and fun, but when it comes to love and ambition, she just seems emotionally empty. Over time, my family gave up on trying to get her to better herself, and we've all just settled with the assumption she'll be a divorcee with okay money by her 40s. Her boyfriend is very successful financially, but also a turd of a person in nearly every possible way. He hates single mums. He hates women who make more money than him or are taller than him. He has nasty things to say about black people, brown people, gay people, which includes me, and has told my sister in front of people to mind her manners or else he'll replace her. He talks about how women who fall in with MLMs would be better off not being alive, despite how he's lost sizable amounts of money to bad investments like crypto schemes. She doesn't mind all this too much, it seems. If I suggest she break up with him, her first concerns are usually centered around how she wants to be able to drive his fancy car, host parties in his swanky apartment. She stays there, but isn't on a lease. She still has a room at home with my parents she can go back to at any time. And how he's funding the life that she wants.
There doesn't seem to be any real manipulation on his end. It's more like he expects to have a woman around like a pet, and really could get another girlfriend if he needed. Easy come, easy go. Over the holidays, I hosted a few family parties at my house. My partner and I had our parents, siblings, nibblings, and a few friends over for a white elephant on Christmas. My sister brought the boyfriend along. I honestly didn't even know why he came. It seems like he hates us. I had a bit of a last straw moment with him making comments about my sexuality, turning his nose up at our family's choices of gifts, and just overall being an uppity creep to myself and my loved ones. So, before the end of the night, I rounded up my sister and her awful boyfriend and told them in no uncertain terms that going forward, he will not be welcome in my house. I didn't get much of a reaction from either of them. They left together with no argument. Days later, while preparing for our New Year's Eve party, I called my sister again and reminded her that the boyfriend is not invited, unwelcome, unwanted, and outright banned from my property. She absently agreed. I even asked her to put me on speakerphone. She was with him because, of course, she was, and repeated myself so that he could hear me. All I could hear was a far-off, whatever, but it still counted as a response as far as I'm concerned. They showed up together at my house for New Year's. I cheerfully let my sister in and promptly closed the door in the boyfriend's face. It felt amazing. 10 out of 10 would do again. However, my sister got mad. She shouted and cursed at me, threw the door open to go after him, but he had already walked back to the car. There was no yelling from him, no drama. He just simply drove off, stone-faced. My sister says I'm an a-hole for doing that in front of our family. She says she's now stranded at my house, good, that he won't answer her calls, great, and that he'll possibly dump her for letting him get disrespected, amazing. She says she didn't think I was serious about banning her boyfriend from my house and that none of us should take what he says or does personally because his opinions don't actually affect us. She told me through tears that she still wants the boyfriend experience of bringing someone around her family, and that was the only emotional labor she asks of this guy, and he was willing to do it.
and he never did come back to get her or respond to her calls and texts. She ended up going home with my parents and has been there since. At some point soon, she'll probably get a ride to his place and likely go back to my parents' place with her stuff in a box. Our parents are kind of on her side here and are saying that I should have just quietly asked them to leave and at least not embarrass my sister. I know we all dislike the boyfriend, but I thought we were on the same page about not wanting him around us because he's just so awful. I don't think it's really a bad thing if he breaks up with her, and this is the first I've heard of her apparently deep need for the boyfriend experience at family get-togethers. I think she likes showing off her rich boyfriend just as much as he seemed to like having a pretty girl as an accessory. And she's upset that she'll need to start over now. All that being said, it's my house, it's my life, and I'm not trying to have a bigot like this guy around me. Am I the a-hole?
Well done, 22 says, your sister can want what she wants, but being with someone openly homophobic when she has a gay sister is everything any of us need to know. She's not dumb, she's shallow and values things over people. You're not the a-hole for throwing him out, but you're definitely the a-hole for trying to portray your sister as some victim in her relationship with her boyfriend. She's complicit by being complacent. Our final story comes from Thoughtful Ade 3 in the Charlotte Dobre YouTube subreddit, and it says, I just realized how much of our money my husband was wasting. So I thought that our family lived from paycheck to paycheck, but apparently we don't. Backstory. I, a 47-year-old female, have been with my husband, a 48-year-old male, for 27 years. When we first bought a house together, we were 20 and 21. Our first daughter came soon after. My husband and I have both always worked full-time, and we're used to having our own separate bank accounts where our wages were deposited. When we bought the house, we decided, as we weren't married then, to continue this arrangement but set up a joint bill account that we each transferred 50% of the bills into, and what was left in our accounts was our own. And when we did a weekly grocery shop, we would literally pay 50% each, resulting in 2 payments to the cashier. 6 years later, our second daughter came along. Now, it's worth pointing out that when the girls needed toys, clothes, etc., I just bought them with my own money. If I wanted new sheets or decorations for the house, they were things that I chose to buy, so I, without question, paid for them. This was until about 15 years ago, when we finally got married and moved to a different country. The kids were 9 and 3 at this point. It was a fresh start, so we decided to finally get a joint bank account that we both had access to. As the higher earner, my wages went into one account, from which all our big bills were paid. Mortgage, car payments, insurances, phone bills, electricity, council rates, etc. His wages went into what we called our everyday account, which we used for shopping, petrol, food, etc. He would get paid on a Wednesday, but by the following Tuesday, 95% of that amount was gone. For years, I thought we were living paycheck to paycheck, and I truly believe that. Call me naive. We live in a country where things are expensive, so take that into account when considering the prices in this post. When I started looking into what was coming out of the account, most days he was spending at least $50 on convenience food for his breakfast and lunch. While driving, he'd stop and buy expensive canned drinks from petrol stations and spend $35 a day on cigarettes. This is the same guy who would lose it if our groceries for the week amounted to more than $200. 0-0 for 4 now adult people. I was seeing nothing from my wages or any of my work bonuses, but if he noticed on Monday that there was still a couple of $100s in the everyday account, he would buy a PS4 game without any concerns. This drove me insane. He didn't see the issue, but would cause arguments. We never go away on holidays, as we never seem to have spare cash to do so, and I've always felt guilty spending money. I bring packed lunches to work and drink tea or water during the day to save money. His mindset is that we are mid to low income earners with no family or government support, so life is always going to be financially challenging. So, last Christmas, after showing him a breakdown of his wasted money on our banking app, I made a suggestion. We both open an individual bank account not connected to any of our other accounts. I call it our fun money account. Only the account owner has access to their account, which they can use to buy whatever they want without judgment from the other. Every Wednesday, when his wages drop into the everyday account, I transfer over $100 to each of us. At first, he was worried that it would leave us short each week, but I asked him to try it out for a couple of months. I also stated that any Christmas and other bonuses from my work, my boss is amazing and usually gives me a monetary amount to buy myself something nice, would be transferred into my fun account. This money would also get transferred into my fun money account, as in the last 5 years, I have never bought myself that something nice.
The same goes for gift vouchers his mum sends me for my birthday for an appointment with my hairdresser. In my mind, when I use the voucher, it's a nice gesture, but not really a gift per se, as hairdresser/barber appointments come out of our everyday account. So effectively, it was money left in our bank for my husband to spend. So I said when I use that voucher, I will transfer that amount from the everyday account into my fun money account. His parents put a monetary amount into his own account for his birthday, so he said this was fair, and he had never thought about it like that before. Well, folks, my husband was a little shocked when this worked fine and didn't impact us. It turns out we don't live paycheck to paycheck. We have just been living according to my husband's means. If he saw money in the account, he just saw it as available to spend. Please note there is no financial abuse here, just a man needing to be pointed to the facts. My husband has been spending his fun money on his games, on treats, etc. from his account and not from our family account. I, on the other hand, chose to put mine into a high-interest savings account.
If I wanted something special, I bought it. What shocked my husband was the realization that his spending habits were out of control. By comparison, he found that the $100 multiplied by 52 weeks gave me $5,200. Plus 3 bonuses I received from my boss this year, plus the interest, I have nearly $10,000 saved. This was all without putting a strain on our standard of living. And what does he have to show for his fun money, which he put into a standard bank account with no interest built up? About $1,800, which still impressed him. I could literally go into a travel agency and book a holiday or put a down payment on a car if I wanted to. But to be honest, just having that knowledge of some financial security as an emergency backup is all I need. Oh, and proving a point to my husband.
Someone says, "Congratulations! Money is the biggest relationship problem, and you seem to have solved it for your relationship." Someone says, "My sister had only a joint account with her ex, and he would always spend through it. There was financial abuse in that case. If his spending put them in trouble, she could always pick up more shifts. The beginning of the end was him buying a motorcycle with the furniture money." I took notes. My fiancé and I are just starting to join finances, but we are keeping our original accounts. The joint account or card will be for household bills and spending, while everything else will be our individual discretionary funds. If he wants to do a big hobby spend with his own funds, that's fine, as long as his share is in the joint account.